I've never been much of a storyteller. I work as a mechanic in a small garage on the edge of town, and until a few years ago, the strangest thing I'd ever witnessed was a deer crashing through the shop window one winter night. But I suppose some things demand to be told, even if no one believes them. Maybe especially if no one believes them. This is about what happened to me in the fall of 2019, when I rented a small house on Miller's Hill. It's the kind of story I would have rolled my eyes at if someone else had told it: ghosts, whispers, cold drafts, and things that go bump in the night. But I lived it. And every night since, I've woken at least once to make sure my bedroom door is closed and locked. Miller's Hill is a gentle rise at the northern edge of Willow Creek, a town so small you could drive through it without ever realizing it existed. People mostly know each other here, and gossip spreads faster than weather changes. That's why it's strange that I'd never heard anything about the old house up there until I moved in. It was a white two-story farmhouse with green shutters, peeling paint, and a sagging porch that creaked underfoot. The rent was absurdly low, half the price of any other place in town, and the landlord, a soft-spoken older man named Hal Richardson, seemed almost too eager to hand me the keys. I remember asking why the rent was so cheap, and he just shrugged. "Place has been empty a while," he said. "Some folks don't like the idea of being so close to the woods." I didn't care. I'd just come out of a breakup and needed somewhere cheap and quiet to clear my head. I signed the lease that same day. The first few weeks were uneventful. I spent my evenings unpacking boxes, sanding down the kitchen cabinets, and drinking beer on the porch while the woods swallowed the last of the daylight. It was peaceful, too peaceful, maybe. There were small oddities I didn't think much of at the time. I'd find the back door unlocked in the morning, even though I was sure I'd bolted it. Sometimes the air inside felt unnaturally cold, as if the furnace had shut off, but the thermostat always read the same. Then there was the tapping. It started as a soft, rhythmic knock against the walls, usually around 3 a.m. At first I thought it was a tree branch swaying in the wind. But there were no trees close enough to touch the house. One night I got up and walked the perimeter with a flashlight. Nothing. When I went back inside, the tapping started again, this time from the ceiling above my bedroom. I told myself houses made noises. Old wood contracts and shifts. Pipes clank. I forced myself to ignore it. One Saturday afternoon, about a month after moving in, I was clearing out the attic. Most of it was empty except for dust-covered boxes and a single rocking chair placed near the window. On a whim, I opened one of the boxes. Inside were old photographs, black and white portraits, family gatherings, children in front of the house when it was newer. One picture in particular caught my attention: a young girl, maybe 6 or 7, standing barefoot on the porch steps. Her expression was strange. Not sad, not angry, but hollow, as if someone had told her a joke she didn't understand. Someone had written Lydia 1954 on the back. That night, the tapping returned, louder than before. But now, between the knocks, I heard something else, a soft humming, like a child singing to herself. The melody was simple, repetitive, almost sweet. And it was coming from the attic. I didn't go up there. I started dreaming about her. The girl from the photo. In my dreams, she stood at the foot of my bed, humming the same song, her pale face expressionless. I'd wake drenched in sweat, the tune still looping in my head. The next morning I found small, dusty footprints on the hallway floor, too small to be mine. They led from the attic door to the foot of my bed. That was the first time I thought seriously about leaving. But moving costs money, and money was something I didn't have much of. So I stayed. And things got worse. In late October, the nights grew longer and colder. I'd wake around 3:15 every morning, always 3:15, to faint whispers drifting down the hallway. They weren't words I could understand, just soft murmurs like someone praying under their breath. One night, I decided to record it. I set my phone on the nightstand and left it running while I slept. The next morning, I played it back. At first, just silence. Then faint knocking, followed by a high childlike voice singing the same lullaby I'd heard in my dreams. And then, unmistakably, a whisper right next to the phone. "He's here." I dropped the phone. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped my coffee too. I told myself it had to be a trick of the mind, maybe the wind or a radio in the distance. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. A few days later, I ran into my neighbor, Mrs. Larkin, an elderly woman who'd lived on Miller's Hill her whole life. She was walking her dog past the house when she stopped and stared at it with a frown. "Didn't think anyone would ever live there again," she said. "Why's that?" I asked. She hesitated. "Bad things happened in that house. Long time ago. Family disappeared. They never found the little girl." "Lydia?" I asked before I could stop myself. Her eyes widened. "You know her name?" I lied and said I'd read something about it online. But my stomach was twisting into knots. I wanted to ask more, but she suddenly looked like she regretted saying anything. "Just be careful," she said, tugging her dog along. "Some things don't stay buried." The house had a basement I almost never used, just a dark, low-ceilinged room with a dirt floor and a few shelves of canned goods left by previous tenants. The door was in the kitchen, and I usually kept it locked. One night, I came home from work and found it wide open. The light switch didn't work, but I could feel a cold draft rising from below. It smelled faintly of earth and something else, something metallic and sour. I stood there for a long time, listening. Somewhere deep below, something scraped against the floor. Then a soft, breathy giggle floated up from the dark. I slammed the door shut and pushed a chair against it. I didn't sleep that night. The house had a basement I almost never used, just a dark, low-ceilinged room with a dirt floor and a few shelves of canned goods left by previous tenants. The door was in the kitchen, and I usually kept it locked. One night, I came home from work and found it wide open. The light switch didn't work, but I could feel a cold draft rising from below. It smelled faintly of earth and something else, something metallic and sour. I stood there for a long time, listening. Somewhere deep below, something scraped against the floor. Then a soft, breathy giggle floated up from the dark. I slammed the door shut and pushed a chair against it. I didn't sleep that night. I don't remember much after that. When I came to, I was lying on the kitchen floor, the morning sun leaking through the curtains. My phone said it was 7:12 a.m. The basement door was closed and locked, the chair still wedged against it. I packed my things and left that same day. I didn't care about the lease or the deposit. I just needed to get out. A month later, I drove past Miller's Hill out of morbid curiosity. The house was empty again. The porch sagged a little more, and the shutters flapped in the wind. It looked smaller somehow, like it was folding in on itself. I don't know what I encountered there. Maybe it was Lydia. Maybe it was something older, something that had taken her place. All I know is that sometimes, when I wake in the middle of the night, I swear I can still hear that soft humming just outside my bedroom door. And when I do, I keep my eyes closed. Because I'm afraid that if I look, she'll be standing there. And this time, she won't let me leave.